Good morning, everybody. We're going to be setting up right now. We're going to be doing a ribbon cutting on the other side of the clock, so we'll face the flags in our building here. So if the chamber of members will be assembled here, we'll go ahead and set up the ribbon cutting.
That big scissors really work?
We'll find out.
Way to go, Restor! Perfect. Thank you, guys.
We want to welcome everybody to our special ceremony today. My name is Michael Ember. I'll be your host. This is a double ceremony today. This is, first of all, it's Veterans Day. We want to thank all our veterans in attendance today. This is also the rededication of this clock that was actually presented to the City of DeKalb in 1921. The clock was then given to the American Legion, and after about 9 months they realized it was too big to carry around, so they gave it back to the City of DeKalb. So it's been part of the City of DeKalb and the Park District ever since. So we want to get this thing going, but we want to make sure we acknowledge everybody before we get started. I need a personal thanks to Andy Ryan. Andy, thank you very much for the flags and all you've done here. This has been a collaborative effort of a lot of people from the city, from the Rotary, from the American Legion, and a variety of other sources. But it wouldn't have happened without people like Andy and the support we received from the city manager and the mayor. And more importantly, the former mayor who actually got this all started 4 or 5 years ago when we wanted to make DeKalb, Illinois the most veteran-friendly city in the United States. Thank you, Jerry Smith. We want to make this ceremony a little bit like it was in 1921. A couple things are a little bit different. This clock was actually in the middle of the street on 3rd Street. And there was thousands of people on that February day that came out and watched that ceremony. And one thing Brian from the Rotary has advised me, the speeches will be very short because I guess the keynote speaker back in 1921 spoke for 1 hour and 10 minutes. I threaten these guys to cut off the microphone if you get longer than 3 minutes. So it's going to be short. But we wanted to do the ceremony as close as we could to emulate that original ceremony, including songs and music, and it was the honor. So let's start today with respect to our country and the national anthem performed by Miss Terry Goodman. Terry?
Honor guard! Attention! Present hard!
Please remove your hat, hands across your heart.
Say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red hot, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you, Terry. Very nice job.
Parade rest!
At this time, we'd like to really talk about the clock and the ceremony. This clock would have not been fixed and redone with a lot of effort from a lot of different people, including the Rotary Club, who made it their project. We also thank Roger Keys, who spent a lot of days in there painting and cleaning up. Thank you, Roger, for all your work. The original clock, as I said, was on 3rd Street. It did have something inside. It had a time capsule. And that time capsule contained the names of all World War I veterans that had passed away from DeKalb, and also a recruiting poster from World War I. Well, that time capsule was never found. So we will be putting a new time capsule in this later on this year inside this clock to be open in 50 years, and I hope to see all of you here in 50 years when we reopen the time capsule. Again, this would not have started without the work of several groups, but primarily the Rotary Club, who stepped up and fixed the clock, repaired the clock. We always laughed in town here that clock was right at least twice a day, but in the rest of the time it wasn't right. But we want to thank the Rotary, who is celebrating their 100th anniversary, as well as this clock is celebrating the 100th anniversary, as well as our American Legion is celebrating our 100th anniversary. The chair of the clock project, the fundraising and all the money was Mr. Mike Conlon, and he will now make a presentation.
Restoration of the clock is the project. Every Monday at 6 p.m. at the Elwood House Museum, we assemble. We assemble to do things like schedule service projects, everything from surgeries for children in Southeast Asia to DeKalb High School scholarships. It is the veterans that we thank for our ability to assemble to provide the services that Rotary has provided for the last 100 years. Thank you and congratulations also for the 100-year anniversary for DeKalb American Legion, who gave this clock to the city.
Thank you, Mike. We really appreciate it. And there was a lot of effort going in fundraising from various groups, and you'll hear a little bit more about that later. Again, someone who's been extremely supportive of this clock, Veterans Memorial Plaza, the Veterans Corner down at the end of the street here, is our city manager, Bill Nicholas. Not being a veteran, he has stepped up a lot and been very, very supportive, and it was very important for him to help speak here at this point.
Good morning, all. Can you hear me? Good. Thanks for turning out this morning. It's a cold, damp day. That's what we expected, isn't it? I do want to thank Mike Coughlin, Brian Core, Brian Keys. Where's Brian? And everyone, certainly Andy Rye and others who have had a lot to do with what Mike has described to you this morning, this wonderful Soldiers and Sailors clock. I also want to thank Mike for helping with the planning of this event, of course, and really taking the lead on that, and in so many ways supporting our veterans year in and year out, month in and month out. Thank you, Mike. So this is the kind of day that American veterans have faced in many theaters of war for almost 250 years, putting their lives and honor on the line so we and others can enjoy the freedoms we've come to expect. Thank you all for pausing to honor those men and women who have served in uniform, especially those who have died in our service in times of peril to our nation. It's now my pleasure to introduce Brian Core. All right, Brian. You can dress warm enough.
Thank you, Bill. Well, thank you all for coming out. I want to echo what everyone else has said. It's a tough day to be out here in the cold and the wind, but I'm glad you're all out here. As you've heard, back in 1921, there was a group of very dedicated DeKalb County citizens who came together and raised the funds to build this clock and put it in a very strange place out in the middle of the street. But that was to commemorate the sacrifices of those who fought in what was at that time called the Great War, the war to end all wars, and we unfortunately know that wasn't it. But Those citizens at that time raised $3,000, which doesn't sound a lot today, but if you were to turn that into today's dollars, that's about $47,000. So you know the hardship that those people went through to put that together, to honor the people who had served our country. But at that same year, a group of people came together to do service for their community. That was the Rotary Club. So we're celebrating our 100th anniversary this year, just as the clock is celebrating their 100th anniversary. And so, over those 100 years, the clock has had quite a history. As Mr. Embry has said, it's moved a few times. It's even been hit by a car. It's been hit by lightning. It's been painted a couple of different colors. It's been quite the movable object here in DeKalb. It's always remained a symbol of the city and a memorial to the people who've served our country. So, but also over those 100 years, the DeKalb Rotary Club has been serving our community. The DeKalb Rotary Club, as Mr. Coughlin has said, has donated scholarships, has donated ambulances, things worldwide, as well as here. We continue to do projects with long-term care facilities, Student of the Month Club. The next thing you'll see is over in Welsh Park, there's a toddler garden, and we have funded a weather-tolerant musical instruments for the toddlers to play in Welsh Park. We wanted to really do something special for our centennial year in addition to all the things that we normally do. And so that was to get this clock up and running. And our first thought was, could we ever find the money to do that? Because it was not a small thing to do. But we did. We found the money to make it work. And through the great generosity of the people of the county of DeKalb, we didn't stop there. We raised enough so that Roger Keyes could come and do the excellent job that he's done to return the clock to its glory of the way it was. We have contacted many clock experts. Believe it or not, there are clock experts who have told us that we have a very unique clock. It belongs in a museum, not out in a park like this. They've been very complimentary of our clock. So it's something for us to be very proud of. So I want to do what everyone else is doing. I want to thank the veterans here today. I want to thank all of you for coming out today. But I also want to call out a few names, particularly. I can't do everyone because there are so many donors. But there will be a plaque that will be installed at the base of the clock to note that this is a rededication of this clock, and that note will include some of the major donors. Like everyone else, I want to thank the DeKalb Park District and the City of DeKalb, the DeKalb County Community Foundation, the family of Robert Zaxey, First National Bank of Omaha, FNBO, the American Legion, Post number 66, and their affiliates, the Daughters of the American Revolution, the General Stark chapter, the International Association of Firefighters, Local 1236. I see some of our firefighters are here today. Mr. and Mrs. Steve Irving, and a very peculiar thing, another service organization here in town, the Kiwanis, actually contributed to the repair of this. Oftentimes the Rotarians and the Kiwanis are looked at as competitors, but we came together on this one. And I also particularly want to thank the members of the DeKalb Rotary Club for all the work they put in. There's several of them here today, and I really want to thank them all. If any of you are interested in becoming members of the Rotarians, we do meet every Monday night at 6 p.m. over at the Elwood Visitor Center. So I want to close by paraphrasing someone who's a far better orator than I am, and that's Abraham Lincoln when he was at Gettysburg. And this today may be a rededication of this clock, but to paraphrase Mr. Lincoln, we cannot dedicate and we cannot consecrate and we cannot hallow this clock. The brave men and women who served in the Great War consecrated it, as have those who have followed after them in conflicts ever since. So also paraphrasing President Lincoln, the task at hand now is for us to be rededicated, just as this clock is rededicated, to preserve the work of those who fought so bravely to preserve our democracy. Let's all work together, each in our own way, to make DeKalb County a better place. Thank you for coming out today.
I want to thank our speakers this morning and Brian and all the Rotas for all the great things they've done. We also have other people here that I would like to acknowledge. We have some city council members here. We have Greg and we have Scott. Thank you guys for coming. I'm sorry, Tony is there as well. And Tony is a veteran, as well as our mayor's a veteran. So we have those people to thank. I want to thank the DeKalb Convention and Visitors Bureau, Courtney and Mr. Hoey there who came out to help celebrate this. You guys are late. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's Special Donut Day, so you'll see the police heading over the donut shop. We do want to thank everybody here, though, and especially this is about not only the clock, but about honoring our veterans. So I would like to just show of hands as you serve the various branches. Do we have any Army people here? Please acknowledge them with applause, please. Thank you. Do we have any Navy veterans, please? Raise your hand. Great. Marine veterans. Excellent. United States Coast Guard. I'm not going to make my usual comment. There's no Coast Guard people here. I won't make that comment. United States Air Force. And our newest branch, United States Space Force. Do we have anybody in the Space Force? Not yet. Well, we will someday. It's a viable organization, and they've recruited a lot of people out of the Army as well as the Marines and the Air Force to serve in the new branch called the Space Force. It is a windy day, but that has nothing to do with how our service members always responded. We responded on windy days, cold days, snowy days, whatever. All of these veterans that serve here were in a variety of weather and trains. And so we the wind is part of our background of our life. It keeps our flags flying so you know who we are and why we are. We celebrate that. We live off the wind and we also live off the stars. And we tell people, veterans, we're pretty much familiar with the stars. The Army and the Marines slept under the stars. The Navy navigated by the stars. Space Force will be among the stars. And us Air Force people, we rated our hotels by the number of stars they were given. So we are pretty much geared that way. And our military part of this program, we have some people that are both veterans as well as community people. So we'll start with our current mayor, Colin Barnes, a U.S. Army member who would like to make a presentation.
Good morning, everybody. I'm up here with Alderman Favor, a veteran of the U.S. Navy as well, and just wanted to make sure that the two of us could come up and just speak a few words about why do we do this every year. So all the veterans that are in the audience right now, one, I love you all, right? That's our brotherhood and service, our sisterhood. But ultimately, none of us want the recognition. None of us care about the recognition. What Veterans Day, to me, is for is to make sure that we show and that we honor people that at one point in their life decided that they're going to serve something larger than themselves. And what Veterans Day to me is how can we transfer that thought, right? That understanding, that commitment to future generations. So Veterans Day is a way that we can come out and we can celebrate an idea, not individuals, not branches of the military, but we can celebrate an idea about this country with all its flaws, all its challenges, and all of its struggles, right? Those of us that serve and those that will serve will help make sure that we can continue this great nation to move forward, that we can work through those struggles, we can work through those ideals, we can work through all those issues that we have in order to continue, and I mean continue, to develop that ideal of the American dream, right? That ideal of the United States of America. And hopefully we will always set the example, like I believe we do now, across the world, of what being free and what open discourse and what living the American dream could ultimately be. So for me, Veterans Day is just about that. So all of you that have served, thank you. All of you that know family members, that have friends, family, whatever it is, thank you. And I can't tell you enough. On a day like this, all of us vets know this is a taste of what the military was like. Whether it was a protocol duty, whether it was a conflict you were in or war you were in, this is exactly what the military is. And for all of you to come out on a day like today and just get together and recognize all of our past service members, from the bottom of my heart, and I know I speak on behalf of Alderman Favor as well, I can't thank you enough. And Roger Keys, where are you? Yeah. Man, the time and energy you put into this is a reflection of your craftsmanship, but a reflection of your commitment to our community and part of what we're here today to celebrate. So with that, I just want to say thank you all and happy Veterans Day.
Our next speaker it's very important to be involved with us because he's taking time away from his duties down in Springfield and to come and speak. And it's great when we get state political people come and honor us. So, Jeff Becker, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you very much. I'm very proud to join you today as we honor the service and sacrifice of our nation's veterans. They're the reason we come together as a community, and I'm especially honored to share it on a rededication of the Soldiers and Sailors Clock that was dedicated this morning as it closed during the close of the World War I. It was most likely a day similar to this 100 years ago when the community gathered to honor those who had put on the uniform, went overseas, and fought that battle. They came back home, and what did they do? They dedicated their service to their community like so many of the veterans gathered around here today. Since that day, many thousands more Americans have put on the uniform and fought in wars and conflicts across this globe. Many have died, and even more have come home bearing the scars of their burden to liberty and freedom that we cherish. But one common thread that links those brave colonial pioneers, the Revolutionary War, the determined soldiers who fought in the Civil War conflict, the two world wars, Korea, Vietnam, and those who continue to serve today. I wrote this so I wouldn't go long. It's that same love of liberty and freedom that have been the hallmark of those that put on the uniform and defend us. On this day, we gather to give thanks to those men and women. Some are standing here, guard. They pay the price for our liberty. Folks, I don't know that that's a burden that everybody is willing to pick up. They're willing to go and fight for the ideals that this country was founded on. To share the freedom, to share the love of community that we all have. We know that many have stood in the cold of the night, defending freedom and defending liberty in places that they've never heard of before. And they come back home, and what do? They stand in the cold of the night to lift up our communities, to help out their brothers and sisters no matter their circumstances, because they believe in this country. They believe in the formation of a more perfect union. Our pursuit of perfection is what makes our veterans great, because they don't stop until they put their head on that pillow for the final time. So thank you all for the sacrifices you've made. Thank you for the sacrifices that you continue to make to our community. And God bless you. God bless the United States of America.
Our next speaker is our new commander of the American Legion, who's been very active, and his goal is to not only be more supportive, get more veterans involved, but also work with the university and Kishwaukee College veterans so that they're more participating in our events and very, very supportive. Commander,
Thank you.
Thank you to the mayor, City of DeKalb, Rotary Club for inviting the American Legion 466 to be a part of this beautiful plaque as a visual display for the DeKalb veterans. it is our honor to attend. Veteran is a title we carry with us for the rest of our lives. Today, communities gather to display pride and support of the freedoms we all share. Veterans Day is reserved for remembrance of the service members and the sacrifices they made. We are honored and privileged to walk among the ranks of fellow veterans. Displaying gratitude for our service brings great pride to the veteran community. Every veteran has contributed to the freedoms we all share in America. We continue to preserve the memories and incidents of our associations in all wars. A fundamental written in the American Legion preamble. DeKalb continues to publicly proclaim gratitude on many projects such as this, as in the rededication today, distinguishing DeKalb as one of the most veteran-friendly communities in Northern Illinois. Thank you. God bless America.
Thank you, Commander. And it was 100 years ago when this clock came into existence, but if we parallel back 100 years ago, this is a pretty good sized crowd. And to think of what happened 100 years ago, young men and women came home from World War I, some of them didn't come home. They had just finished a pandemic where millions of people died, and yet they revitalized, they came back. And it's all because those young men and women served our country and made sure we had that freedom to assemble, the freedom to speech, the freedom to care for one another. It's just amazing what has happened. We cannot do it without support of our community. You will see these honor guard members doing military funerals, they're doing services, they're doing civic events. They have given their time to perform and take care of military situations, so we want to thank all of them. At this time we'd like to invite our chaplain up.
Thanks, Mike. A lot of thanks to go around. Now, let's give thanks to our Lord. It's such a beautiful day. Dear Lord, today we honor our veterans, worthy men and women who gave their best when they were called upon to serve and protect their country. God, please let every veteran feel honored by the attention and appreciation of their fellow citizens. Let no one feel forgotten or neglected. Let every man and woman, young or old, feel the deep and enduring gratitude of our nation and its people. Thank you, Lord, for our courageous heroes who, when duty called, are willing to step forward. I pray this in Christ's name.
Thank you, Chaplain. So we wanted to kind of finish the ceremony like it would have been finished in 1921. In 1921, the DeKalb Community Chorus gathered around the clock and sang the Battle Hymn of the Republic. Well, I couldn't get enough people to do that, but I did get a young lady who said she would come up and sing along. We want you to sing along with her as we honor America with the Battle Hymn of the Republic as performed in 1921. Terry?
He hath loosed the fateful lightning of his terrible swift sword. His truth is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory,
Who's better than any chorus would ever be, let me tell you. Well, at this point, the only other thing that we missed about honoring is this also the 100th anniversary on November 7th of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. So, with respect to that date and that honor, we would like to turn it over to our honor guard. Honor guard is under the command today of Rob McCann. Commander McCann, would you want to take care of this, please? Thank you.
Port arms! Riflemen ready? Aim! Fire! Aim! Fire! Aim! Fire! Order! Arms! Builders sound attack! Present arms! Order! Arms!
We want to thank everybody for coming out, the DeKalb Chamber, Convention Bureau, city workers, city manager, city mayor, and everybody else. Thank you to all you veterans. God bless you, and this is what it's all about. God bless America.